When they had you go from, you'd been Mike Rotundo or Mike Rotundo for your entire career, and they asked you to come back to a place where you were already there for a bunch of years and held titles, did you think that the IRS change would kind of take on a life of its own and, become a completely separate character?
What happened is I started doing Michael Wall Street at WCW, and they offered to extend my contract a short period of time, and I said no. So I went back to WWE, and they said, well, this is the character we want to, do for you. And that was kind of a feed off of the Wall Street with the money and stuff. So I didn't know if it was going to work, but I found out real quickly that people don't like IRS. So, or to pay taxes, so
instant heat, right?
The more I talked about it, the more heat you got, and then they put me and Ted DiBiase together, and that clicked because he was the rich crooked guy, and I was the crooked IRS guy, and so it really took off from there, and it had a life of its own. So yeah, it worked out.
Was the WWF ever going to pair you with The Undertaker as a tag team, Death and Taxes, which is about the best tag team name I've ever heard?
No, but I ended up going against Undertaker, stealing his arm and doing that gig. But no, I don't think they ever had any plans of doing that.
Do you remember who came up with the name, specifically Erwin Arsheister?
No. Somebody from WWE.
I'm going to read the bio. I didn't know this. Your hometown was Washington, D.C.
Well,
that makes sense.
That was for IRS's hometown.
Yeah.
I've had several.
That's right. Known for being managed by Jimmy Mouth and Seth Hart, your favorite quote is, "I'm going to write you off, and future ambition is to tax his way to the top." I will say this, that, a lot of people had occupations in the WWF, but IRS is a character that stood the test of time.
Right.
There's a lot, I'm not going to mention any names, there's a lot of people that had different characters that maybe, they're not as remembered for, but the IRS character is so fondly remembered, and negatively as a bad guy, for a lot of people's childhood. So you ever think that was, when you were in it, was because you completely changed, a lot about yourself and the way you...
Yeah, I just tried to come up with stuff that would get heat, and I don't know, it just, you didn't really sit around and think about it all the time, but you just tried to make it better all the time, And if the people hated you, you were doing a good job.
There you go.